Okay. Okay, so we're holding in page 9, right at the bottom.
Our share's written for sure.
No, Sean, I can't take your job.
No, sure, you can read.
Hey.
Hey, Shalom, Chelsea. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. Sean has read quite a few times. Give him a break.
So close. All right. Bottom of page 9. If you'll delve deeper, is that it?
Yes.
If you'll delve deeper into this matter, you will note that the world was created to serve man. However, the world itself stands in the balance. If a person is drawn toward this world and distances himself from the Creator, he will be corrupted and will corrupt the world with him. Yet, if he can rule over himself and he cleaves to his Creator and uses this world solely to aid him in serving his Creator, it will be elevated and the world itself will be uplifted with him.
Okay. So an interesting question I got years ago. I remember someone stumped me with this question. He asked me, if God wants us to serve him constantly, so why did it make a situation where we need to eat and we need to sleep and we need to go for a walk, exercise, whatever? We have to do all these things that the body requires us to do. In order, if God wants us to really learn Torah and do mitzvahs and always be there serving God, so why didn't he create us that we can do that? Question. What do you think?
Be too easy.
Be too easy. No, so you could, okay, I hear. What about making it challenging to do that? But however, if you want, you could do it all day, all the time. And you don't need to eat or sleep. So I got stumped just like you guys. But then the Mesilat Yesharim opened my eyes a bit, and I realized that that's not our mission. Meaning, God created the world to serve us, right? That's what it starts off with. If you will delve deeper into this matter, you will know that the world was created to serve man. So the world was created to serve man, which means like this: our job in this world is to take the situation of what's going on in this world, meaning eat, make it meaningful. Sleep, make the sleeping meaningful. That's our job. Our job is not to disconnect from the physical world. Our job is to take the physical world and elevate it with us. Take the opportunities that are given to you in this world and elevate the world, but not the opposite, not to disconnect from physical things. The second we don't have to eat and we don't have to sleep, and we don't have to do all these things, that's angels. God's not interested in angels. Humans are higher than angels in regards to humans could take the physical world and make it spiritual. That's our job, to take the physical world and make it spiritual. So that's the part you just read, that then is that a person has to realize that he could elevate the world with him. When he does the right thing, he elevates the world with him. If he does the wrong thing, he brings the world down with him. So when we eat, if we eat with the intention of being strong and being able to be productive and healthy, then that's good. If a person just indulges into food for the sake of indulgement, that's a problem, right? So our job is to try and elevate this world. It's in Christianity, actually, the idea is to live in a world where you don't use this world to elevate yourself. Rather, you distance yourself from the world. The more you can be out of the physical world, the more you can just disconnect from physicality, that's better. But that's a Christian approach. It's not a Jewish approach. The Jewish approach is to stay connected to the physical world and use it in the right way. That's why we have Shabbos meals. That's why we use the physical world in the right way. Now, I'll tell you, yes, definitely people could abuse that and eat like crazy on Shabbos and become fat and overweight when they're not meant to. Of course, that's an issue. But the idea is really to elevate this world in our interactions with it. And that's the idea. And if we don't, we bring the world down. And as you see, people, it is quite an interesting thing. If you look at how when a child is created, it could be a very uplifting thing, or it could be a very disgusting behavior. Depends what people do with it, right? It's, if you think about creating a child, is one of the most crazy things a human could do, to create another human being. It's a weird thought to have, that you could create another human being. You could create another human being. That's weird. However, that same act could be also a disgusting act that's driving with disgusting behavior. So that's the world. You could either bring the world up with you, or you could take the world down with you. That's the capability of the human, because the world was created for the sake of the human. And that's what humans do. They either elevate the world or destroy the world, bring the world down. That's up to us to decide what to do with it. If you look, it's fascinating. We're using right now technology for a shiur. Technology is another example. You can either use technology to be a destructive world, where creates jealousy. People put Instagram pictures of themselves, making people jealous of their holidays and different things they're doing, of the gifts that God gives them, and or looking at things, or attacking people, or destroying things. Or you can use this technology to do something productive, have a shiur, learn, different things like that. So communicate with your grandmother, different things like that could be productive. So it's up to us to use the world in the right way, or God forbid, in the bad way, destroying the world. That's what he's saying here. That's what he's pointing out. Okay, so that's the answer why we do eat and why we do sleep, because we have to make sleep for the purpose of something greater. Sean, you hear that? Sleeping is not just for the sake of sleeping, man.
No, but Rabbi, how can sleep be like spiritual? Like you're closing your eyes and you're resting. That's not spiritual.
Right. But why are you going to sleep? Meaning, if you're going to sleep at night and you say, okay, I have to go to sleep because I have to be productive tomorrow. So then your sleep becomes meaningful. It's not just, but if someone says, I'm just going to sleep. Why? Because I love sleeping. And you find yourself sleeping all the time. So that's not using sleep in a productive way. It's just indulging into sleep. Funny enough, there's such a concept, right? It sounds weird, but there is a concept of indulging into sleep, even though we don't actually, when we sleep, we don't actually feel that we're sleeping. But when we're going, I actually like putting alarms and keep turning them off, because then I actually feel that I'm enjoying my sleep. I don't know if anyone else experiences this, but while you're sleeping, you don't actually feel you're sleeping. It's when you wake up and that sweet turn in the bed to say, no, I'm going back to sleep. That's the enjoyment. That's the pleasure. But that pleasure lasts for a few seconds, because then you're asleep, right? So there is a concept of indulging into sleep, funny enough. But sleep is meant to be a productive thing that we do. We go to sleep for the sake of being productive the next day. If you look at, just funny about sleep, it's quite interesting. And you see this with kids, right? And with ourselves. To go to sleep, to put my kids to sleep takes forever. They don't want to go to sleep. They don't want to go to sleep, right? Okay, when they're young, they get up, just the eyes open and they're up and they're bouncing around the house. But as we start getting older, we start becoming teenagers and so on, then it's hard to get you out of bed. So it's hard to get you into bed, and then it's hard to get you out of bed. Do you want to sleep or you don't want to sleep? So sleep is a completely it's a desire once you're in bed, but you don't want to go to bed. You want to watch another movie, or you want to look at your Instagram, or you want to look at Facebook, or you want to look at different things. So you don't go to sleep till very, very late. And then when you go to sleep and it's time to wake up, you struggle to wake up. Why are you struggling to wake up? Didn't you not want to go to sleep? Sleep wasn't important to you. You were up till extremely late. And then when it was time to get up, you're not waking up. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. So again, you can abuse sleep and use it in a very non-productive way. Or you don't abuse sleep and you use it for the sake of being productive, which means you go to sleep early and you wake up early and your day is a productive day, right? That's turning sleep into a productive concept, even though you're right. As you're sleeping, there's nothing spiritual about it. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
For it is a tremendous step upward for all of creation when it serves the person who has perfected himself and has become sanctified with the sanctity of the Blessed One. It is similar to what our sages of blessed memory said about the light that the Holy One, blessed be He, concealed for the righteous. And since the light saw that the Holy One, blessed be He, concealed it for the righteous, it rejoiced, as it says, the light of the light of the righteous will rejoice. And
Right. Yeah, keep going. Just just finish it off.
And regarding the stones from the place that Yaakov Avinu took and placed beneath his head, they said, Rabbi Yitzchak said that this teaches us that they gathered themselves into one spot, each one saying, let the tzaddik rest his head upon me.
Right. Okay, first of all, I just want to recognize Benji Michelson is with us here today. It's great having you, Benji.
Good to be here. Good to be
Oh,
here.
we love you, man. Okay. So it's interesting here that the Mesilat Yesharim is saying that you see that when the world is used for a righteous person, people say, wow, it's worthwhile. So you have example, I don't know if it's a good example, I'll try. You can tell me if you don't like my example. You have Epstein, what's his name? The guy that hung himself eventually at the end.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein. So you have a guy that had so much of the world. You know, he had the whole world. He had his own island, it sounds like. It sounds like he had a tremendous amount of money and everything. And this guy abused it. And he used it in the wrong way. And he destroyed people's lives and he hurt people and so on. So when you see that, you see how it's like such a waste that such a person had so much and used it in such a negative way. But when you hear of someone that's using their money in a productive way, I'm talking even in a non-Jewish world, like Bill Gates giving money to try and help in Africa and do things like that. No one feels like, wow, Bill Gates, such a waste that Bill Gates has so much money, because Bill Gates is using it in a productive way, and we feel like, okay, it makes sense that a guy like that has that type of money. So that's one level of seeing the world, that we're happy to see the world being used for people that are on a higher level. But I'll say a little bit more than that. When you see a righteous person, you want to support them and help them. You want to provide, you want to look after them, because you feel that these are people that do good for the world. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable. We want to make sure they're looked after, right? Where a person that's destroying the world, we want to put him behind bars, and we don't want him part of the society. So that's what he's saying here. He's saying that the world is actually there, gets elevated when it's being used by a person that is complete. The world gets used much more when we're dealing with people that are complete. And that's the idea. That's just, again, showing the point that we can use this world, this physical world could be used to achieve good things, or it could be used to destroy the world. He's reiterating it by saying that if you see a righteous man, you're happy to support such a person, and you want him to use the world because you feel like he does elevate the world by using the world. That's why people like having, when you have big rabbis coming to town, people like having them at their house and hosting them and looking after them. Why? Because you feel like it's an honor to have such a person at my house. Imagine Rabbi Lau came to Melbourne. Chelsea would be having him at her house for sure. She would make a nice meal. She would have him over. Why? Because it's a great man, and it's a man where you would be more than happy to. You feel that would elevate your house. That would make your house a better place. That would elevate your. So we know this concept. So we see how this world is created for that purpose of elevating it. And the more a special human being the person is, the more we're happy to see him elevate the world by using the world for a better way. So he gives the example of Yaakov and putting the rocks underneath his head, how the rocks wanted to serve him. The world wants to serve the people that are righteous and great. That's how it works. Okay, let's continue.
It is with reference to this that our sages of blessed memory have commented in Midrash Kohelet, see the deeds of the Eternal. When the Holy One, blessed be He, created Adam, He took him on a tour of all the trees of Gan Eden and said to him, see how beautiful and praiseworthy my deeds are, and all that I have created for you. Take heed not to corrupt nor destroy my world.
Okay, so many people use this Kohelet, this Midrash, to point out climate change. They say that climate change, you see how God is warning the human, he's warning Adam, he's showing him all the trees, and he's telling him, look how beautiful it is, make sure you don't destroy that world. And I'm not saying this is a bad source, it might be a great source for people to realize that we can't destroy this world and we have to be more aware in regards to climate change. That might be a source. However, the Mesilat Yesharim is not using it in that way. He's using it a little bit differently. And he's saying destroying the world is using the world for non-productive things. Destroying the world means using the world to carry out your desires and fulfill just drives for plain reasons, not for reasons of growth or not for reasons of developing ourselves to be better people. That's destroying the world. And God took Adam around and showed him the world and said, look what a world I created, a world of where you can actually take advantage of the world to grow and use it. Make sure, put your mind that you don't destroy my world. Make sure you make sure that you keep the world sane and don't destroy it. You know, so that's what he's pointing out here in the bringing out this source, that we have an obligation to try and use this world in a productive way that it doesn't get destroyed. Okay. And yeah, keep going.
In summation, a person was not created for his position in this world, but rather for his position in the world to come. However, through his position in this world, he acquires his place in the world to come, this being his ultimate goal. Therefore, you will find many passages from our sages of blessed memory that speak of this same comparison, of this world as the place and time for preparation, and the world to come as the place where one rests and consumes what has already been prepared. As they have stated, this world resembles a corridor. As I've written above, you do them today and receive their reward tomorrow. He who toils on Erev Shabbos will eat on Shabbos. This world is likened to dry land, and the world to come to the ocean. Passages on this theme abound.
Okay, so he's summarizing the point he was making, and that is that the rule is a person was created not for his situation in this world, but rather for the world to come. However, in this world is the world where you can achieve that, where you can change that and make things better for yourself. So this is the world where it matters, where it makes a difference. What you do in this world, we're on a time, a ticking clock, and we have a certain amount of time for our lives, believe it or not. We live for a certain amount of time. You just will be in your 20s for 10 years, and then you'll turn to your 30s. That's how it works. So some of you have even less than that, than 10 years to turn into your 30s. I've been there, done that. And yeah, it moves on. It moves on, believe it or not. Life moves on. I have a daughter already soon turning 15. I don't know how that happened, right? So that's just showing you that the world moves. It moves. And you could try and stay young. You can try and look young, but the reality is you're getting older. So a person has to know that that's the world. The world is always moving. And therefore, we have to use it in a productive and a smart way to make it meaningful as long as we hear. And that's why I'm saying that this world is domele frazdor. This world is like a car door. This world is we're here today, tomorrow we're somewhere else. It's like preparing on Erev Shabbos to eat on Shabbos. right? Someone that works on Erev Shabbos, then he can have a great Shabbos. He can sit, the food is ready, everything is prepared, the house is clean. But if you don't prepare your house before Shabbos, then Shabbos comes in and you won't enjoy your Shabbat. You won't have a great Shabbat because there's no food, there's no preparation, right? Those that were in Israel in an apartment, no. On Friday, it's hectic. Everyone goes out to the shuk, getting some food. Everyone gets a different job to do, and then you have a good Shabbos meal. But if you don't do that, and you just sit and everyone chills and no one puts effort, then you won't experience a nice Shabbat. So there has to be effort. Same goes to, example, Seder night. Preparing for a nice Seder has to be put in effort before. You can't show up to the Seder night and expect everything to run and be good if there was no preparation put into it. Raising children, if a person doesn't take care of himself when he's young, and then one day he has kids, and now he has to start raising them, but he has his own issues going on, not a good idea. His kids won't be getting what they need to get. So again, one has to prepare in this world in that way. And that's what he's pointing out here. And he's saying more than that, that whole job of this world is for the world to come. So we have to do all we can here for the sake of something greater. That's constantly the point. That's constantly the theme. And the more we can drill that into our heads, the better it is. I'll just point out that in our lives, what seems to us reality is the physical world. The physical world seems very, very real. It's in our face. It's real. And doing good deeds and focusing on spirituality doesn't seem real. It seems like, yeah, it's a nice idea, but it's not real. You can't hold on to it. You can't see it. You can't. It's not something you can use, right? It doesn't have a currency. You can't even you can't walk into Kohl's and say, I'm a good guy, I should get a discount, right? It doesn't work like that, right? So, there's no such thing as spirituality doesn't really have a grip on it. There's no good deeds doesn't really have a grip on it. But you know how it does have a grip? And this is the following thing that I constantly see in my young years, is that as life moves on, a year after you're growing, 2 years after you've been growing and you've been developing yourself, suddenly you start getting a grip on the last 2 years of putting time and effort into yourself. And suddenly you're much happier, you're much more comfortable with who you are. People come to you more for advice, example. People come to you for just for support. You find yourself that suddenly you do have a currency, but it takes time for that currency to play out. It takes time for that grip of realizing that spirituality is something real. Doesn't happen if you keep one Shabbat. It doesn't happen if you 1 week decide to be a good person. It's throughout a year, 2 years of effort, suddenly there's something worthwhile happening. Suddenly you start realizing, wow, I'm actually doing something good. I'm actually achieving something. And I feel that that's often what stops myself from growing, is that I don't realize that time does a lot. And if I be consistent on growth and I'm consistent on learning, then throughout time I will achieve. Just take an example. We started this Mesilat Yesharim Shir, a week ago? We're holding on page 11 already. And we do it short. We don't go for long. We do this for a few, 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and then we're done. And we're holding on page 11 already. So it's crazy how much we could achieve. And you move on in your day, and it doesn't really take over your day. It's something you do for half an hour, 10 o'clock in the morning. Probably a lot of other people are sleeping still because there's nowhere to go to. And you do that for half an hour, and already it's something productive. So I think to grip the idea of growth, to grip the idea of a world to come, is only through us realizing that these things actually exist, but we can't really see it or feel it, but we can recognize it after a while. And that's something I wanted to end off with for us to think about. Okay, shkoyach everybody.
Thanks, Rob.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you,
Michael
Rabbi.
Sin, great having you. Chelsea, thank you for joining us as usual.
Thanks, Rob.
Always.
Any-
Gotta keep some feminism.
Yeah, we have to. It's ridiculous. I only get boys. Okay.
I'm not a boy.
I said that's why we need you here.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Sean, what's going?
I'm working from home today.
Surely you're reading tomorrow.
Big day.
I will read tomorrow.
Okay, did you hear
Thanks,
Ari
Rob.
Jackson is on his way back?
I heard he's going to a hotel in Melbourne for 2 weeks by himself.
That's massive. Is
Not
he going to be on
flying
that
first?
LL flight?
He's
Yes.
doing the direct flight, I think.
From Israel to
Yeah.
Melbourne?
The Dreamliner.
Yeah. And he's going straight into an hotel, government
Yeah.
quarantine, not just quarantine to himself.
Like, you
Yeah,
don't
Government-
kosher
kosher
food?
food.
What?
Will they give him kosher food?
I don't know. He said he's got
Probably.
5 boxes of shmor matzah and 3 bottles of wine. And that's it.
Oh my gosh.
Nuts.
Is Aiden
Nuts.
coming home, Sean?
Don't think so.
How come Ari's coming home? His parents sending him?
I don't know. I'll ask him. But yeah, he's on the direct flight.
'Cause yesterday you told me that he was coming home only in a couple of weeks, like in
Yeah,
May.
he literally messaged this morning saying, I'm coming home.
Oh, wow. Cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
bye.
Okay, guys. So we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Robert.
Bye.